Hi, I'm Mr. Kutros, and I'm making this video about your students' chemistry class this year. First of all, a little bit about me. I really love working with students. It's my ninth year teaching at OA and 19th year teaching chemistry. I teach all different levels of chemistry, including AP Chem. I have a few different degrees, including in instructional technology, one of the reasons I'm making this video, and I have a master's degree in chemistry from UMass Boston. I'm also an active member of a bunch of chemistry teacher organizations because I really do believe in trying to make chemistry accessible to students. So, what do we learn this year? Chemistry is about matter. So you can see on the left here that there's a trick that you can do at home. When you light a candle and you blow it out, the smoke is actually the part of the candle that's flammable. So what happens is the heat from the wick will go and decompose the wax that's in the candle and turn it into a gas. So a different kind of molecule that's flammable. And then that gas is actually what burns. We're going to talk about combustion reactions this year in chemistry, and we're going to be talking in particular about why things burn. What is it about like electrons moving into reactions that allows things to burn? That's going to be more towards the second half of the year, but we're going to be building up our understanding of atoms and molecules before that. The picture at right, we see the lensing effect from sunlight going by the wasp that's standing on the surface of water here. That's an example of surface tension, which actually shows us the amazing attraction between water molecules. And the water molecules are more attracted to each other than they are to the wasp, which allows the wasp to stand on the surface of the water. In fact, if you look at this from a chemistry education lens, chemistry really, the education of chemistry really goes into three buckets. It's called the chemistry triangle. The top of the triangle is the macroscopic view of chemistry that we see. So at the top here, we see fire. Fire is a chemical reaction. The things that we can see with our eyes are the macroscopic way of looking at chemistry. We do a lot of labs this year. At the bottom left, we see particles. In chemistry, we also talk about what the atoms and molecules are doing, and we try to connect that to the macroscopic view of chemistry that we see in our everyday lives. Finally, at the lower right, we see a chemical reaction. It's a little hidden behind my webcam video here. But in a chemical reaction equation, we're trying to symbolize what's happening in the reaction. So students are also going to learn how to write equations. They're going to learn how to balance equations. The hardest thing in chemistry is connecting the three ways of looking at the world: the symbolic way, with the particulate way, with the macroscopic way. And that's where students struggle a little bit. And I try really hard to use multiple strategies to help them to understand what's happening at many different levels. Just to talk about graded work, we do a lot of labs in this class. 50% of students' grade is based on labs, worksheets, homework, participation. And then 50% is tests, quizzes, and lab practicals. The chemistry teachers at OA, we take it very seriously to make sure that chemistry is accessible to all students. And so we have multiple different ways of assessments, including lab practicals, which is when students will actually go into the lab and use some of the techniques they've learned in class to be able to show how chemistry works in the lab. For late work, I have 2 late work passes per term. Students just need to fill out a form on Google Classroom and they can hand in work late. After that, it's a more serious conversation why work is being handed in late. One thing that you should expect from the class is there is a lot of group work. Students, I strongly believe, get a lot out of working with each other and dealing with harder situations that maybe would be more difficult to do on their own in groups, and groups are very structured. The other technique that I use a lot is flipped classroom. Like, for instance, we have pre-lab videos. We have some videos on about notes that students are going to be doing during class. And it's really important that students come to class prepared. Finally, I just wanted to talk about helping your students succeed. Chem is try. Literally, the word chemistry can be broken down into those words: chem is try. Effort's really required for this class. It doesn't mean that every student's going to require the same amount of effort, but chemistry really does require work, and it's my job to help students be able to access the curriculum and to make that work, then that effort, be manageable. So things that you can do to help your students is to remind them to do their homework packets. We have an online textbook that's a way that they can get to their work. And I post a lot of different work on Google Classroom. You can, as a parent, can sign up for weekly digests to see what kind of work we're doing in class. Try to encourage them to do their homework and studying without distractions like cell phones or TV. Um, the brain doesn't really multitask very well, and if students are watching TV or working on their phone while they're doing their homework, it really means that their brain isn't fully engaging with the work that they're doing. A really good study skills site is learningscientist.org. There's a lot of really good, very widely applicable study skills there that you can go and tell your students, oh, like this is a way to study, like actually go and space practice, which means doing, don't do your study all at once, do it over time. A lot of us know that from that study skill from school. But there's others on there that you wouldn't necessarily think of. One's called interleaving. That's the idea that it's actually not a good idea to study chemistry, for instance, for 2 hours and then English for 2 hours. It's better to switch back and forth between the subjects because it keeps the brain nimble and it forces the brain to do a little extra work. I'm available for extra help a lot of days after school. And finally, I'm the coach of science team, and we also have Envirothon and other kinds of clubs here at school that students can get involved in. It'll help them be more enthusiastic about science and to succeed better. I'm looking forward to a great year with your students this year. Please don't hesitate to reach out.